Yeah.
Which brings me to my big conspiracy.
Go ahead.
Is I think The Bachelor is completely fake.
I think it's all completely
well,
fake.
not
You're
completely
right.
fake. I'm going to say 60%. More than half of the show.
In what ways?
I think
But
it's
a
overproduced.
few.
Vehemently
would
disagree.
I would go as far as to say.
Okay.
Okay.
Both make a
Oh my
case.
God.
I would go
Gosh.
as far as to say
You don't want
that a lot of the girls are actresses. They are
Wow.
not on the show. They are there.
That's bold.
The personalities on the show, they're playing a part. Down to, and it really blew up for me because it was the girl, help me
Victoria.
out. Victoria.
Sure.
Who
The
came in
queen
and
on
was
the
the
season.
queen, and the camera
Such a
was
good-
always following her, and she was like having these big dramatic moments. And I know, like, I grew up in theater, so I knew dramatic people, and I still know dramatic people. And so I know one is capable of being like that.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's just like,
It was very convenient.
it's just
especially-
so perfect.
Yes, on this season, it was like when drama wasn't happening in the house, Victoria would amp up.
Yes.
And then when there was actual drama that was happening, where girls were having like arguments over, other things, she would tone it down and then suddenly be like a voice of reason.
And now she's off the show, but other girls have taken that position a few times where it's
See-
like now we're focusing on this girl, and she's like, I compared it in my vlog to professional wrestling. It's like this girl took a fall, like, you know how like Dwayne Johnson, like The Rock Johnson would be like the villain, right, the heel, right, and he'd like take a fall, like a big match would have. Anybody professional wrestling?
on your
Anybody
own, buddy.
Love him.
whatever that would happen.
I used to watch it.
Sure, so you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
So like Victoria was the heel in that situation.
you think it's choreographed?
I think it's a dance.
yeah.
All right,
I would
present your
say,
points.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of ex cast members, for lack of a better word,
Okay.
that have come forward and like exposed it or whatever and said like, this is what's actually happening behind
Sure.
the scenes. And so I think that the Bachelor franchise is like a breeding ground for like, they attract the drama where people like that look at the exposure, the ability to be influential and find love, which is attractive.
Sure.
Like, here's this show that says, here is this person who's like, has all this going for them.
Right.
And it's like, and now you get a chance to fall in love.
Right.
And for people who are lonely,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but also want the clout,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like, sign
in
me
one.
up.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that it does attract those people. And then you put them in a context where it's like,
Yes.
they don't have their phones.
Yes.
They're completely cut off from everybody who loves them.
This is
Yes.
psychology, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a breeding ground for psychopaths because literally everyone around them is encouraging them to act out of emotion. So the producers,
Right. So
the
I don't think they're
environment.
necessarily being like, okay, now you're going to say this. But
It's
I
not
think
scripted, it's engineered.
Right. It's like,
But the
how
producer's
are you
like,
feeling
how do you
right
feel
now?
about
I
that
mean,
thing
he
he said
just
to you?
left you
Yes.
from this. He just
Yep.
held up the rose but didn't give it to you. How do you feel? Like,
Now,
you know what I
look,
mean?
And nobody, to be fair, like technically nobody's getting paid. None of the girls are getting paid, but Homeboy's getting paid. What's his name? The
Matt
The
James.
Bachelor.
Matt James.
Matt James is getting a paycheck. And so everything he
Yeah,
does
The Bachelor,
is the
Bachelorette,
producers are
every time gets paid.
every time. So they're like,
Really?
okay, now
Oh,
you
then I
gotta
don't
now
like
you
it.
gotta
Well,
do
you're
this.
you're under contract.
I would go
Right.
as far as to say that sometimes they make him pick certain girls.
Oh, well,
Absolutely.
and other cast members have said
Yeah.
that, hey, even if you're not feeling this person, let's keep them on for
Let's
one
keep
more
her on.
week.
If you're like unsure about this girl or this girl, like go with this one. Guaranteed.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Well, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you-
30 of them, isn't there? What does it start at? 30
Golly, there
people?
was
I mean,
like
there was-
so many this
It was
season.
like the most girls ever on a Bachelor season this year with
See-
But it's like the process. Like watching The Bachelor, I related to like 2 days ago. I'm talking to Ryan's dad, Noah, and he's like, "Oh, did you see that 75 car pileup on the freeway in Texas?" And I'm like, "No," but all of a sudden I find myself on my phone looking up the video of the 75 car crash.
Yep.
That's a terrible incident. Why am I looking up
Yep.
and watching 75 people's worst day of
Yeah.
their life?
because it's wild.
Because it's wild.
And it's fascinating.
like going to the zoo.
Fascinating. And so you're watching a train burn, and you just can't help but watch it. But then too, as we were watching it last night, looking at the producer side of it, like an example where the producers set up situations for someone else to be completely bullied.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's
Oh my
like all of a
gosh.
sudden there's this new girl who comes in. The producers plan for when she's going to come in,
Yeah.
and she walks in. She's late in the game. There's 10 girls
They're all
left.
sitting on a couch together.
Yeah.
And it is not this girl's fault. It's
Right.
the producers have set her up for failure so
Yes.
I can be entertained by people radically destroying her
Yep.
life.
Yep.
And some
Crazy.
people, unfortunately, are watching that going, yeah, why is she there? She shouldn't be there. I would say the same thing. And it, in a sense, can perpetuate bullying. It can
Yes.
perpetuate
Yep.
toxic behavior towards other people. And another toxic behavior it lends itself to is here's a man dating 28 women and cheating on all of them.
Yep.
and
Actively
that's
cheating on
fine.
them.
And then a week later, proposing.
Right.
Yes. Acting
Right.
like now this is like a good basis for a long-term relationship. Like the entire time you're set up for failure. Like there's no voice of reason the entire time. Like nobody telling the girls like you can't say that. Like you can't completely, like tear down another girl on the show. Like that's not okay. Nobody's there saying that. Nobody's like saying that's not okay. Like you need to stop doing that. It's like the more of that, the better for the producers. They're like, yes, like trash this girl in front of everybody.
But is there
Drag
someone?
her.
Is there someone in those social circles that is also acting as accountability? You know what I mean? So if
Right.
like they're already drama and they've been in an environment of drama,
Right.
And now we pull them out of that, we put them in this environment. Like, not everyone has like their parent around them being like, "Don't do that."
Yeah.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Is
so
it just pulling people that are already doing that?
I think so.
I think it is. It's like the untrustworthy narrator because it is like all that we see is what the producers are wanting us to see.
For sure.
So we're seeing these girls at probably some of their worst moments, even on the show. Like, let alone like who they are as a person. So it's like,
It's classic reality TV.
and we really
There's-
can't.
There's
It's
literally like if you think about it, there is if it's truly a week every time somebody goes home, there is literally 30, probably 25 conservatively 25 weeks of footage.
yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Like if you think about like that much time, and then they have to whittle it down to what, an hour?
Yeah.
Right.
And
Two
they're-
hours, yeah.
And then the hardest part, they have to make it entertaining.
Yeah.
Yep.
So-
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're taking like literally 7 days worth of nonstop footage. I mean,
Yeah.
arguably there's probably 8 hours every day you're not using, people
Yeah.
sleeping or whatever. But like at the same time, I don't know. I think you're right. I think Grace is correct in the sense that it's probably not scripted,
Right.
but it's very well engineered. And
Yes.
that's what kind of
Yes.
freaks me out is that
Yes.
there is somebody out
Yeah.
there, or
It's
at
like
least
the
a
Hunger
group of
Games,
people
man.
that know how to
Yes.
pit people, put it against each
Yep.
other. And that's
Yep.
just even more terrifying.
The
is-
the best tweet last year was the devil works hard, but the Bachelor producers work harder.
Yes.
It's true.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
terrifying.
I
Yeah.
think
I'm getting that
I think the
tattoo.
funniest part. Wow. Right here.
Game
As a
on.
tweet
my lower back.
with the,
Yeah.
yeah, with the
That'd be
Twitter
great.
logo.
You heard it here first. It'll be next week. You'll see it.
That's right.
Next week.
Big
Live on the
reveal
show.
on episode 14. I think that's the funniest part is we watch it and we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she just did that. I can't believe this just happened. But it's like there is a layer of delusion
Sure.
that is happening on, I guess, people that believe it and people that are a part of it.
Yeah.
Here's the part that I do find legitimately fascinating.
Go ahead.
And like as a social experiment is that put in those situations, people's response and reaction isn't engineered.
Yeah.
So it's like their natural response
Yeah.
Yes.
and inclination to do something.
Maybe.
Yes.
Or like
In
when
a lot of
Matt-
times.
like when the Bachelor finds himself in a situation where this girl's going, I love you, I have feelings for you, and you can just tell all over his face, it's like, nope.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
I am not feeling that.
But then
That's
he
what I
opens
find
his mouth and is
fascinating.
like, yeah, I
Right.
like can't wait to see you next
Yeah.
week. And she stays on.
And you're like,
and that's
he just freaking lied to her
yeah.
face.
And
like,
that's a producer in his ear going, okay, you like this girl. Like,
That's,
okay,
the thing, that's the thing is I
Kiss
feel
go in for the kiss.
No tongue.
Hometowns next week. We want to see her family.
Matt James, remember to close your eyes.
That's
Please
what I'm
close
saying.
your eyes.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I think then